Okay, so here we are with Greg Luer. How you doing, mate? All right?
Yeah, good, thank you, good.
Good. So thanks for taking your time out. I just think it's a great opportunity to try and share your story, and I think a lot of youngsters in Sussex will be watching this, and they could obviously take a lot of inspiration from your journey from the non-league all the way through to the Premier League and to today. So, just to get started, we'll go back to your youth days. I believe you're at Hangleton Rangers, and then Hove River Vale, when you moved on to White Hawk and Eastbourne Borough as a youth player. Through the youth setup, before committing to Burgess Hill, where Ian Chapman showed a lot of faith of you and gave you your first team debut at 17 years old. Can you explain to us what it was like to be given such an opportunity at a young age? Did you see it coming, or was it a surprise to you?
I was playing well for the youth team. I was captain inside towards the end of the season. We were in the cup finals, top of the league, and he was watching a lot of games. So
Chappers was coming along and you see him in the stands. And
it just gives you a little bit of motivation. And he'd speak to me after games and said I'm doing well and stuff. And then at the end of their season, he started putting me on the bench
for the first team
for the last 10 minutes. And then he just set me up nicely for the following season.
So you were 17 at that point when he first started slowly bringing you into the team. Was there other players in the youth team that he was bringing through at that point, or was it mainly you that was featuring in the first team squad?
Mainly me. There was a couple of others. Luke Donaldson, I think, was in and around it, and a couple of others. But
what does that do for your confidence? Does it just bring you confidence, or is there added pressure with being put forward, that marquee player in the youth team that's going into the first team at such an early age?
Yeah,
Did you feel the pressure?
Not so much pressure, because I've got on with a few of the first team players, and it was a nice environment up there. But saying that, it's going into men's football, and it's a completely different game to the youth team. So.
Well, that brings us on perfectly to the next question. Do you remember your debut, or when you first started, you made your first appearance starting in the first 11? How different was the men's game to the youth game that you were used to previously?
I don't remember my debut. I remember my first start, and that was in the FA Cup against VCD, I think.
Yeah.
I scored 2, so I did alright. But
there you go.
It was just a massive jump playing with them against men.
For any youngsters that are watching this, 16, 17-year-olds, what insight can you give them to the men's game, and what advice can you give them, jumping up from 18s to then, competitive football as a man?
Just you got to be ready for it. It's physical, it's quick, it's aggressive. It's a completely different game. You just got to be ready for it.
Of course.
Ready for the fight.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to physicality. Do you think it's about smashing it in the gym, or is it just knowing your body and just being ready for when you're getting called up? You say it's more physical, it's more athletic. Does that mean people have to get in the gym and be ready for that, or is it just?
Yeah, it's a bit of both really. Knowing your body, because I'm not the biggest, but I thought I dealt with it pretty well. It's just getting used to it. It'll take time, but once you're used to it, and it's just all good.
It was a quick turnaround for you, obviously, coming in straight away and doing really well. So he eased you into the first team, and then you were a part of a promotion-winning team at Burgess Hill, where I think you scored 17 goals in all cups, leagues, and stuff like that. A lot of attention around you, especially as a young instrumental player. What was that season like when you were winning games and you got promoted and a lot of attention was on you? Did you know about the attention, the media that was around you as a player?
Kind of, but I didn't take notice of it a lot, just because I was enjoying the season so much. I was playing well. I'd say it now. It's my favourite season I played in.
Yeah. Just up until today.
Yeah, I'd say.
Superb.
We went unbeaten that season. We were winning cup games against good teams, going away to hard places, picking up results.
You had a good balance, didn't you, of youngsters like yourself and very senior players in the squad. So I think that's a good balance. It's obviously a great combination. Did you know scouts were looking at you and coming to your games at that point?
Yeah, I remember we went away to Folkestone and they had a player called Johan up front, and I remember Chappers telling me, he told me that Hull watching him, and I remember just thinking, I need to play well today.
Yeah.
And then he got signed, so I knew it was possible. I knew there was be scouts looking at games.
Not necessarily at you though, but you knew they were there at the ground.
Yeah, and then from then on, I probably played my best run of games for Burgess Hill in that 6 or 7 weeks.
So that puts me on to my next question. Would you prefer, as a player, do you think you preferred to know that there were scouts there, or did it add extra pressure?
It's See, I don't know, because I'm quite shy. I'm quite shy in general. And I remember, if there were scouts that I know, I remember thinking, I've got to do well here.
Yeah.
Like, I used to think about everything I did, like, oh, they're going to see that, and they're not going to see that. I think you just got to block that out and just play your own game.
Would the nerves come in? Once you cross that white line and the game's on, would the nerves carry onto the pitch, or would it be, you know they're there before the game, it's a bit of extra pressure, and then you forget about it?
I think what it is, with me, I'd start the game nervous, and then if I did something well, then that'd be it.
So you try and connect short and early first of all,
yeah.
do something simple, build your confidence.
And then get going from there.
That's great advice for any youngsters, I think, because I can imagine a lot of youngsters, scouts watching a Brighton scouts here, a Hull scouts there. It could be detrimental to them, because they might do stuff that they wouldn't naturally do in the game, and it's not a true reflection of them as a player. Whereas if you can just, that's a great bit of advice. Keep it simple early on, get your confidence up, and then forget about it.
Yeah, like I don't blame them for being nervous. Like, of course you're going to be nervous. It's like,
no, of course.
It could be like potentially be a life-changing opportunity.
100%.
You just got to be yourself and don't do anything different.
Well, it worked out for you, didn't it? For people that don't know, can you explain the process of what happened when you were getting scouted by Hull? Was it just them that came in for you, or was there other interests from other clubs at that point?
I remember having a trial for Oxford against Wolves, I think it was, and I scored that game.
So Oxford came in before Hull?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was so, like, they said they wanted me. I was like, probably if Hull didn't come in, if they came in 2 days later, I would have been at Oxford.
What league was Oxford at the time?
League One.
Okay.
I think. So yeah, they wanted me, and then I remember getting a phone call randomly at night saying, Hull have just put an offer for you.
So who would break that news to you? Did you have an agent at the time?
It was my agent, yeah.
So sorry, just to cut you up. At that point in time, there was a lot of attention. Were agents just coming out the woodwork to try and sign you up and stuff? How did you deal with that experience?
I remember there was a few. There was about 3, I think.
Yeah.
Talking to me the summer before we went on that unbeaten run.
Right.
And then throughout that season, and then I put it off for ages.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want it. I don't know why.
It's very new to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't know how to deal with it. Were you offered guidance and support throughout that, or was it?
I spoke to chappers, I spoke to other people in first team football and who've been around it. They gave me some good advice, and signed with an agent, and then went on from there.
So it went on from there. So obviously, yeah, let's go back to that. Oxford came in, and then Hull came in a couple of days later.
Yeah.
Then what happened? Did you go on trial? What was the process?
They wanted to sign. They said they wanted to sign me, and it was going to happen a day later. And I remember then Brighton offered me a trial, and obviously Brighton's my hometown club, so it was one to think about.
So Brighton came in late.
Yeah.
So what was that like? If without whatever's happened. But if Brighton come in earlier, obviously, would that have affected your decision? Or would you have just played it by ear at the time? Whatever came.
See, Hull offered me a contract, whereas Brighton offered me a trial.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a no-brainer. Really. I didn't want to risk anything.
So you went up to Hull in the January transfer window in 2015 after a really successful run at Burgess Hill, moving away from home in Brighton and away from your family to pursue a career as a Premiership footballer at Hull. Can you explain that? Obviously it was a buzz, but how did you find moving away at such a young age? I mean, a lot of people will be in your position. Have you got any advice for youngsters that are going to be moving away, whether it's America, whether it's elsewhere in the UK? How did you deal with it?
It's tough. It's definitely tough. I say the first 2 weeks I was there, I was really homesick.
Yeah.
I wasn't enjoying it at all. I felt like I wanted to come home, but I stuck to it. You make friends straight away.
Yeah.
And then yes, once you make friends and you settle in, then it's fine. You get into a routine.
I think that's key, isn't it? The routine part of it. Once you can take your mind off and always remember that you can always go home if you want.
Exactly. You're always going to go back.
Were you coming home all the time when you first signed? Was it like whenever you were given a day off you would come home, or how did you deal with it? Or did you think, okay, I need to distance myself a little bit and focus on what I'm doing?
Yeah, to be honest, I'd have loved to have come home a lot, but it was so far away. We'd only get one day off. It just wasn't worth the travel down. Like, I was coming home for a night, going back up the next day. It just wasn't.
It's probably more trouble than it's worth, ain't it? Really?
To be fair, it made me think about just football, which helped me.
Yeah, no, of course. So when you arrived at Hull, do you remember your first day at the training ground? Did Do you think all the boys that were there knew your story, that you'd gone about your business the hard way and gone through the non-league system? A lot of them boys, I'd imagine, would have been involved with pro clubs their whole life. Did they take you well? You know, did they see you as a bit of an outsider coming in at a late stage? How do you think the boys reacted to you?
I remember I went for like a week's training session when I signed in November, I think that was. I couldn't actually sign and go there till January.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a trial week, but I'd already signed.
So you knew the training ground, you knew the staff.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said earlier, I'm quite a shy boy, so it was hard. That first week, I'd say, was hard. I wasn't really speaking to anyone.
Do you remember your first day?
Yeah, I remember my first day. Yeah.
Was it just a bit like of a reality check?
Like you see them, like they're going to a room with all their training kit. Like I'm used to turn up on a Tuesday night, like my own stuff. It was just strange. Like you get breakfast and stuff.
It's just real. It's a dream come true.
Exactly. Yeah.
So did they take? Did you just get talking to the boys? Did they know about your story? Did they know where you'd come from and that you'd come from non-league?
Yeah, they did, because like I said, there was a boy that done it a few months later. A few months earlier, sorry. Okay. So I think that probably helped me out, because they've seen someone else do it. And they know.
And he was successful.
Yeah, he was.
That makes complete sense. I believe the gaffer at Hull was Steve Bruce at the time. I heard from numerous people that he really rated you as a player, and he had a big part in bringing you in. What was your relationship like with Steve Bruce?
It was good. I'm a United fan, and so is my dad. So I remember the first week when we went up, I saw him and I was like that's like Man U's ex-captain. Yeah. Like, I was in shock a bit. Got a picture of him, and then when I signed in January, he brought me into the first team within about 2 weeks, which, don't want to disrespect him, but with Hull, it doesn't happen a lot. Yeah. They're not the best team with their younger players. Okay. So I was shocked, and then he'd say hello in the mornings and stuff. He was really nice to me, asking about my family.
That stuff goes a long way when you're away from home.
Definitely, yeah.
What was his philosophy on football, the way he would go about his training sessions? Was it different to anything you've experienced before? Was he Steve Bruce for a reason? Like, was his sessions incredible? Was his knowledge incredible?
He just knows how to win games, especially in the Championship. Like, he's a great Premier League manager, but I'd say, I think most people ask who's the best Championship manager, they'd say Steve Bruce. Really? Like, he's done it time and time again. Yeah. He's just tactically good. His team selection was good. He just knew how to get the best out of his players.
Class, mate. So when you first arrived, were you training with the 23s or the first team? To follow on with that, what was it like playing and training with players who you might have seen on TV, and now you're sharing the same pitch with them?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal. I was like a bit like
who was there? Dawson was there, weren't he?
Michael Dawson, Tom Huddleston, Jake Livermore.
Like massive players, and then you're training with them.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? Like, do you remember the first time you step out on the field and like Dawson would like fire a ball into you, or Huddleston would zing one in at you? Like, were you just like nervous, or did you just settle in straight away?
Yeah, because I love watching football, so I've seen all these players on TV, and then you're standing next to them thinking, what am I doing here? Really? Like, got the shakes a little bit in my first session.
Of course.
And then when you start doing well and stuff like that, they're having banter with you.
Makes you way more comfortable, I'd imagine.
They're saying, like, well done and stuff, giving you confidence, and then just goes on from there. They become your friends.
It's unbelievable, mate. It's so good. So, when you first got to Hull, they quickly sent you out on loan to League One Port Vale. How did that process work? Like, did the club just want you to get more men's football? Was it just a chat or a phone call? How does that work with players going out on loan? At Hull, I guess it's different for every club.
Yeah, the Port Vale one was a weird one. I don't think the club expected it either. It was more my agent. That was only a month after I was there, and I personally don't think I was ready for that.
To jump straight into men's football.
To go. I'd already moved. Like I said, I was homesick after 2 weeks. Right. And then 2 weeks later, I was going somewhere else, like the other side of the country.
So you'd have maybe liked a little bit more time to just get comfortable at Hull. Mm-hmm. So there was positives that come out of Port Vale. You made your full professional English Football League debut at Port Vale, coming on as a substitute. What was that like? Was it the most surreal feeling ever, or did it motivate you more, or did you think you cracked it then?
I think when you're in the moment, you don't realise how much of an achievement it is. Like you walk into the changing room, you see a name on your back of your shirt. That's already a dream come true.
Yeah.
And you step out onto the pitch and there's fans singing.
Do you remember how many were there that day?
No, I don't. I wouldn't be able to tell you. No. So you see like the referees and they're like League One up. Like you just see it all on
The
TV.
little things.
Yeah, just like stuff like that. And then once you make your first one, you just want to keep going. Like you realise I can actually do this. I'm good enough for this. And then you just keep pushing forward.
So you got a taste from it, and it probably motivated you more than anything.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
a lot of people would think, well, I've done that. Maybe subconsciously thought, oh, I've done it now, but you got a taste for it and wanted to kick on. It says a lot about you as a player, I think. So, you know, just moving forward from 2015 to 2018, you made appearances for Hull in the Championship, FA Cup, League Cup, as well as going out on loan to 4 clubs where you experienced League One, League Two and National League football. With appearances in all of them leagues, I don't think there's many people more qualified to answer the question of what is the main difference from league to league. The higher up you go, what is the difference? Does it get quicker, smarter, more physical? What's your opinion on
I'd say League 1 and 2 fairly similar. Physical, strong, quick. It's more like you get the rare occasion where a team plays like good football and wants to play. Normally it would be more tactical game, like percentages, and you
playing in
grind
the
out
right
results.
areas and stuff, channels?
Exactly, yeah. In Championships, like a much bigger step than them two.
Right.
There's a lot more quality. The players are like well known.
In the Championship?
You've got match winners in your team, like strong, good centre halves that could be in the Premier League. And the Premier League's just on a different level.
So would you say League One, League Two, the jump up from are similar, the jump up to the Championship is bigger than the jump up from the Championship to the Prem? Does that make sense?
No, I still think the Prem to the Championships the biggest jump.
Is the biggest jump. It's just hard to even relate to that. I can't even imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
You see good players at Ryman level and you think, oh my God, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then you're saying League Two and League One's better than that, and then a massive jump up to Championship, and then an even bigger jump up for Premiership.
That's it.
I mean, you've experienced it all, mate. So, just to wrap it up, what's next for Greg? Like, you know, you've separated yourself from Hull. You're not currently at Hull now. What's in your plans for next season? What's your movements this summer?
To enjoy the break a little bit.
On holiday?
Yeah, with going away from missus.
There you go.
Yeah, just take a bit of time off and then just pick the best option for me next year.
Yeah.
I've got a feel already, but I'm just going to wait and see what happens in the next 2-3 weeks.
You've got good people behind you working, doing that stuff for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for your time today, mate. Really
Nice.
appreciate it. Wish you all the best next year, and we'll maybe catch up in the future.
Of course,
Nice one, Greg.
Nice one.
Just, mate.